Well, hello, lovers! It's officially the most romantic and passionate month of the year, and there are a whole bunch of sensual, erotic new video games for you to shower with rose petals and do open mouth kissing all over. Or you can just play them, like normal video games. Whatever you're into. Anyway, here are February 2023's biggest games. On February 2nd, Deliver Us Mars comes to the Xboxes, PlayStations, and PC, and this deep space survival sequel to 2018's Deliver Us the Moon has you rooting around up on that red planet, as the name would suggest. On February 10th, Hogwarts Legacy comes to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series, and it's a divisive topic for a lot of reasons, but on a strictly logistical level, PS4 and Xbox One owners won't get it until April 4th, and then Switch players are going to have to wait all the way until July 25th. But you know what? Regardless of what platform you are or are not playing this game on, please just try to be civil in the comments below, because good heavens, I'm sick of this discourse. Roses are red, violets are blue, and Blanc is French for white, and it's also the name of a cool-looking hand-drawn co-op adventure that is hitting Switch and PC on the 14th, which might be a perfect game to play with that special someone. If that's too lovey-dovey and artsy-fartsy and you'd rather whoop a bunch of ass by yourself, there's also Wanted Dead on PC and the non-Switch consoles, which looks over the top even by Team Ninja standards. I am intrigued. On the 16th, there's Theatrhythm Final Bar Line, which sounds like it could be about waiting to buy drinks after last call at a music venue, but it is in fact a rhythm action game set to the tune of 385 carefully selected tracks throughout the Final Fantasy series. That is on PC, PS4, and Switch. Still on the 16th on PC is Wild West Dynasty, which starts out like a frontier survival game, but if you survive long enough, that frontier gets a little bit less wild, and it starts to look a little bit more like a cowboy city builder, but it's got those doors that swing, the saloon doors with the cowboy doors. And you probably get spittoons too, I don't know. Buck or giddy up, either way. On the 17th, Gigantosaurus Dino Kart is, you guessed it, a kart racer about, you guessed it, dinosaurs based on, well, maybe you didn't guess. I actually had to Google this one. It's a French-Canadian CGI cartoon for preschoolers called Gigantosaurus, which is also a real dinosaur. Anyway, that's on everything. Dinosaurs are cool, kart racers are cool, but in my house, we watch Bluey. So wake me up when there's a kart racer about those dogs. And also, dibs on bingo, driving a garbage truck. Also on the 17th is The Settlers: New Allies, the soft reboot of the Ubisoft real-time strategy / city builder series. That's on everything, including Amazon Luna. Does Ubisoft know they have a game coming out this month? Somebody should probably let them know. Tales of Symphonia Remastered is a nice, fresh, and clean overhaul of the 5th entry in the Tales series, which was originally released on GameCube back in 2003. And it doesn't seem like that long of a time, but that was actually 2 decades. Surprise, you're old. Most of the hearts that people are buying 3 days after Valentine's Day are of the chocolate variety on clearance at their local CVS, but on the 17th you could also snag some brand new Wild Hearts, which is a video game that's kind of a Monster Hunter-like from the team behind the Dynasty Warriors series, and it looks like it's got a little bit of Fortnite-y construction. In any case, that's on PC, PS5, and Series X. If your heart longs for something more radioactive than monstrous, the Soviet Bioshock-like Atomic Heart drops a few days later on the 21st for everything but Nintendo Switch, along with the much-demanded Western release of Like a Dragon Ishin, which is the feudal Japanese samurai spin on the series formerly known as Yakuza, but rather than just a regular localization and port, RGG Studios went all out and gave this a full modern overhaul from the ground up, and it looks gorgeous. That's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, and PC. I thought I was almost done because February only has 28 days, but then I remembered that on the 22nd, the PlayStation VR 2 launches along with a big pile of launch titles, many of which are new, some of which are new to a Sony VR headset, and some of which are just upgrades of previously available PSVR 1 titles, and some of those are actually free to people who own the PSVR 1 version. Anyway, the big one is Horizon Call of the Mountain, the standalone VR story in the universe of Zero Dawn and Forbidden West, which will undoubtedly be a pretty solid way of test driving this new headset. If you want a much more literal way of test driving this headset, Gran Turismo 7 also gets a free PSVR 2 mode at launch. Honestly, Sony's promised 30+ launch games on or around release date for the new PSVR, so if you're an early adopter, I'm sure we will have some coverage elsewhere, but I am on a deadline, so let's talk about those regular games that don't require the $550 hat. Also that day in the non-VR space is Digimon World Next Order, though I guess Digimon technically involves virtual reality on a narrative level, but my point is, it is out for PC and Switch. On the 23rd, everything except Switch gets Blood Bowl 3, the unlikely crossover between the extremely British fantasy tabletop game Warhammer and the extremely American and confusingly named sport of American football. Anyway, it's getting a sequel, so I guess orcs and touchdowns go together like chocolate and peanut butter, or beans and toast if you're in PAL territory. Speaking of bowls, as well as combining incongruous food products in hopes of creating something great, well, you can do that in Chef Life, a restaurant simulator. I was pretty wild about Cooking Simulator, no relation, but that one you could put a propane tank in the deep fryer and set half of the kitchen on fire and then break a bunch of bottles by throwing salamis at them, which was pretty funny, though not really that related to actually cooking. In any case, this one has some big shoes to fill, ideally with non-slip soles and good art support, because that's what you should be wearing in a commercial kitchen. Enough chef jokes, that's on everything, bon appetit. Just kidding, I have more food jokes. Speaking of food, Quiznos and Subway and Jimmy John's are all companies of heroes in one sense of the word, but Company of Heroes 3 is actually about World War II soldiers. And the latest installment in the hit RTS series comes to PC on the 23rd and features campaigns in Northern Africa and Italy, as well as a dynamic tactical pause, if real-time strategy is too real and strategic for you. If you just had deja vu, it's because I already made that stupid sandwich joke in another video about the year's biggest games, but guess what? I thought it was pretty good, so I reused it. Also on the PC that same day is Sons of the Forest, the sequel to the sleeper hit that seemed like a nice camping simulator until you discovered that the nearby caves were full of mutant cannibals. Buzz is extremely good on this one, so keep an eye on it, unless you're a scaredy cat, in which case cover your eyes and I'll tell you when the mutant cannibals are gone. Okay, you can look now. February 24th should really be renamed Kirbyuary Kerbalforth because not only is Kerbal Space Program 2 hitting early access on PC, but Kirby's Return to Dream Land Deluxe is also hitting Switch. One of these games is about lethal disregard for safety precautions in the name of science, and the other is about eating your enemies to gain their knowledge and power. Video games are horrible. My mother was right. Octopath Traveler 2 is also out on the 24th, featuring 8 travelers, each with their own adventures to embark upon in that neat stylized take on classic 16-bit JRPGs. The first one launched on Switch first and didn't come to anything else for a whole long time, but this time around, it's hitting Switch, PC, and both PlayStations that first day. On February 28th, Destiny 2's next big expansion, Lightfall, comes to all the things that Destiny is out for. And if you play Destiny, you probably already knew about this, and if you don't, well, now you do. So, surprise, Destiny Lightfall coming soon. If you want to shoot some stuff in outer space and not worry about your light level or raids or whatnot, there's also Scars Above, a third-person adventure that has some cool-looking monsters and a lot of creepy atmospheric fog. That's on Series X, both the PlayStations and PC. And there you have it. It's the shortest month, but it's still jam-packed with games, and darn if it isn't romantic. Which of these games are you going to ask to be your Valentine, and which one do you secretly admire? Which game's advances will you reject and scorn it forever, completely breaking its heart? Let me know in the comments below. I will see you next month unless you see me in another video on IGN like the one I do each month about streaming releases, or if you just run into me at CVS, showing up too late to get that discount Valentine's candy, but beating the rush for those Cadbury eggs and jelly beans. I'll see you in March.